Mr. Chairman, we're ready when you are. Mr. Chairman, we're ready when you are. Jeremy, you're muted. Not sure if we have lost the chairman here or not. I guess in this case, Mr. Willis, would you mind opening up the meeting? And when Mr. Griffiths is ready to join us, he can do that.
Thank you. I hope my mic is unmuted. This is Rob Willis. I am co-chair of the City of Southfield Planning Commission. This is a public meeting scheduled for March the 3rd, 2021, and I am calling the meeting in order.
Hey, would you like a roll call, sir?
I would like a roll call. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Culpepper.
Here.
Mr. Huntington.
Present.
Mr. Martin.
Present.
Dr. Stevens-Gunn.
Present.
Mr. Griffiths, we'll try again to see if we can get Mr. Griffiths on. Doesn't sound like it. Mr. Willis.
Here.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, you do have a quorum to conduct business this evening.
Thank you. Mr. Spence, I believe we would look at our first item on the agenda.
Through the chair.
First, sir, if we could do an approval of the agenda. And with that, I would like to ask that items 1, 2, and 3, PZR 21-0001, PSLU 21-0002, and PSP 21-0001 be placed further down the agenda after item 8. Which is the text amendment. And with that, we can entertain a motion in a second.
Then I would look for a motion in support of that.
To the chair.
Yes. Mr. Culpepper.
I shall move that the agenda be approved with the following amendments. Items 1, 2, and 3 be moved down the agenda to go after item 8.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
This is Geraldine Stevens-Gunn. I second.
Thank you. That's been moved and seconded.
Sir, we would need a roll call vote, and I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Okay. Again, Mr. Culpepper.
Yes.
Mr. Huntington.
Support.
Mr. Martin. Mr. Martin. Dr. Stevens-Gunn.
Yes.
Mr. Willis.
Support.
And we'll come back to Mr. Martin again. Okay. Well, you do have a majority, so you do have approval for your agenda this evening.
Thank you.
Martin, can you hear us now?
He's on mute, Terry.
Mute.
It's on mute.
We see your little mute icon, Mr. Martin.
Should we look at PZR 21-0002 item identified as item 4?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this first item on your agenda this evening, PZR 21-0002 and PSP 21-0002 This is the rezoning request and site plan review request of SLT Holdings LLC for the property located 27522 Northwestern Highway. Now, this is on the north side of Northwestern Highway between Bell Road and Telegraph. With regard to the rezoning portion of this request, the petitioner is requesting a rezoning of the property from RMU, which is multiple family high rise, to B3 general business for the 1.828 acres of land that's on this piece of property on the north side of Northwestern Highway. You can see the property there in red. That is the subject site for this evening. The site plan portion is to convert the existing restaurant, which was the old Copper Canyon, to a market, a grocery store that's related to the New Soul Gardens restaurant, which is directly across the street to the west. And that market would look at containing, after some additional additions to the building, of 14,465 gross square feet. This is a little bit closer view of the property. Again, this was a restaurant at one time. It's been vacant for some time as well. The market was originally supposed to be on the New Soul Garden restaurant site, directly to the north of the existing restaurant. However, they've moved forward to look to put that market now on the Copper Canyon site, which is directly to the east of it. It should be noted that this property is part of a consent judgment that actually includes the hotel directly to the east, the Copper Canyon restaurant, and then the office building that's a little bit farther to the north. The New Soul Garden was within that consent judgment at one time, but they did request to be removed from the consent judgment, and that did happen a couple of years ago. So the New Soul Garden is no longer in the consent judgment. However, Copper Canyon is, and in order to get full approval and to move forward with this particular store, they would have to be removed from the consent judgment itself through the court system. Property is, at least from a future land use map, regional mixed use. This is the existing zoning. Again, RMU is currently on the property. The reason that looks strange, again, is because this was part of the consent judgment that allowed the restaurant use within that particular zoning district. Now that, again, the petitioner is seeking to be removed from that consent judgment, they are looking to rezone the property to B3 general business. This is a proposal for the site plan for the property. It does include some additions both on the north and on the east side of the building. So it will make the building a little bit more than 14,000 square feet. There will also be some additional amenities. The pedestrian connection from Northwestern Highway to the site is shown on here, as well as some pretty significant landscaping that we require for the screening of the fronts of the vehicle. They do have some outdoor loading and unloading area here off the north side of the building, as well as I believe they have generators here on the property as well. So this is going to be actually a pretty significant upgrade to this property. Again, here's the landscaping plan, and again, it shows pretty significant new landscaping on site. Elevations. So this is the color scheme that they're looking for. If I recall, and the petitioner can clarify once she does her part of the presentation. I believe that this has a very similar look to the New Soul Garden restaurant directly across the street. Interior floor plan showing checkout, sales area, etc. And then with that, again, Rebecca Lazarus, who is representing the petitioner, is online, along with other members of her team. So, Rebecca, if you would like to make some additional comments, you can do that at this time.
Thank you, Jeff, for that great description of what we're doing. Thank you, Chair Griffiths, for allowing us to bring this forward, and Terry and Jeff for helping us through this process. This is a very exciting, I guess I should turn my picture on. This is a very exciting development, and we're really excited to bring this to you for approval and review. I represent New Soul Garden and the property next door adjacent to it. SLT Holdings is the business that is the developer of this property. The owner of the SLT is a longtime business owner in the city of Southfield. For over 35 years, he's had multiple businesses within the city limits, and he is a strong supporter of the community. This is another way. 2 years ago, he opened up and renovated and invested over $5 million into the New Seoul Plaza. That is a phase 1 of this development of a Korean destination. And with the addition of the market at this location, it will be phase 2, which will open up it to be more of a international destination for residents and for the surrounding communities to gather and to actually experience authentic Asian cuisine. Japanese, Korean, Chinese, Filipino, Vietnamese, all of those flavors will be present here in this market. This market has been, the development that we are working on will be an investment of almost $6 million. It is a deep renovation to the existing building. So we will keep a similar footprint, but we have expanded it about almost 4,600 square feet. So we are looking forward to this development, and we're here. I have our engineer, our site plan engineer, Pat Williams from Norwalk and Frous, and I have my architect, Darren Zebari from Daz Architectural. And we also have, I believe, the owner, Mr. Young Yi, who is here if there's any questions that you would like to ask him. So thank you, and we are ready to answer any questions.
Through the chair, this is Planner Crow to Rebecca. It's great that we have an adaptive reuse of the older building that's been vacant for quite some time. Do you happen to know how long that building's been vacant?
From our records that we can find, it's been vacant for about 7 to 8 years.
Okay, I think that's just a great part of your narrative to talk about that as you move forward. I wish you the best of luck, and I'll turn it back over to the chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then are there any questions from our commissioners?
To the chair.
Yes, Commissioner.
Hi, Rebecca. Nice to see you again.
Hi, nice to see you too.
Let me first of all say great job on the Seoul Plaza. When you first came up with that project, you did a major overhaul with the parking lot and the building inside, and so great job on that. And if I remember correctly, you were going to do the market inside, but I guess you're moving to bigger and better things. But I agree with Terry 100%. That Carpet building had been vacant for 7 years, and we looked at it, went from a restaurant one time to a brewery, and it has been an eyesore in that area. So looking at your renderings here coming in with the major beautiful landscaping you're doing in there, I support this 100%. And again, I wish you all luck in the world, and know you'll do a good job compared to what you did to the Seoul restaurant. So thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Culpepper. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further questions?
To the chair, Commissioner Martin.
Yes, sir.
Just a couple of points of clarification. One, the building, Copper Canyon basically closed down in 2013, December. Are you using are you enclosing the patio area? What was there as a patio area for them?
Yes, we're squaring off the building and where the patio was or still is, and we're extending out the north end of the building. So where you're looking at, it's kind of the northeast corner, the whole wall will be extended out. And I should have actually expounded upon that. This building will be a sister building to the current Nuso Plaza building, where the 3 restaurants, Debak, Jinji, and Miyomi, are located. We want this to be a cohesive environment, and we are encouraging our customers to walk between the 2 properties so that they get the full experience of being in a Korean destination. So that's for the sidewalks and the addition of those sidewalks. So the building materials will be very similar to what you see on Nuso Plaza currently. And so it won't be something that sticks out separately and it doesn't look like it belongs. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Let me tell you, it's a nice change for the area. That building first opened up in 1986, and I can tell you with the 3 different restaurants that were there, I attended that place since 1988, and I'm happy to see something going back into it. And it's a nice change, and hopefully it'll do a lot better and last a lot longer than Copper Canyon did. That's all my comments at the time.
Thank you, Commissioner Martin. Are there any other questions?
To the chair, this is Geraldine Stevens-Gunn.
Thank you. Commissioner Gunn, go ahead.
I'd like a timeline of when you all like to get started and approximately how long you think it will take.
Well, we are in the process of purchasing. We've put SLT Holdings, Mr. Yee has put in we're in a purchase agreement with the current owner of the property. And our timeline on this is approximately to close, that we're looking at estimating starting in June for construction. So our plan is to try to get it constructed as quickly as possible, of course, because but we're looking at hopefully having it enclosed by winter time so we can continue to finish it on the inside through the winter months. And then it's probably looking at possibly a spring opening.
I have one other question. Given that it's on Northwestern Highway, I'm unfamiliar if there's a bus route, and if you all will consider a bus shelter so that patrons can come and can frequent the market.
I am not aware of a bus that it's on a bus route. I do know that we have talked to a city manager, Zorn, and we are going to go for a Brownsfield designation for a TIF capture and ask the city for that and for a PA 210 to help the development get off on the right foot. So there has been talk about having some wayfinding signage. I'm not exactly sure. That's something that we can definitely look at see where the bus routes are actually at.
This is Planner Crow. There was a bus route a few years ago, but when SMART restructured their routes, they removed it from this corridor. But in any event, Mr. Bryce and myself, we have a good working relationship with SMART and DDOT, and they have been good partners. Typically, if we provide the concrete pad, they'll install the shelter at locations that warrant it. So we'll double check that, but there was a route at one time. I don't believe it goes down this street anymore. But it was a good comment.
Mr. Crow, Terry Crow, Mr. Crow, just as clarification, when the DDOT stopped, they continued the bus on north and southbound on Telegraph, and they took the 11-mile route and had it go north on Losser and stop from Wasser to the 12-mile ramp. So yes,
Right,
there
but-
was one there.
Yeah, but it doesn't go on Northwestern anymore.
Right, they closed that portion of it,
Yeah.
yes.
'Cause we were actually working on a shelter across from the dealership not too long ago before they changed the route.
Thank you. Any further questions?
Yes, Commissioner Huntington, just wanted to make a statement.
Commissioner Huntington.
Okay, I think it's a great project for that area. It's really going to bring that area back to life. I like the idea that it's walkable, that people can, go between the different operations there. And I like the idea of having a food variety there, which I think is going to be really good for the city of Southfield. I do have one question. What's going to be the hours of operation? And is it going to be 7 days a week?
We do plan on operating 7 days a week. It will be normal business, grocery store hours. So it'll be, from my understanding, it'll be like 9 to 9 are the normal store hours. So there will also be online ordering, because that's become very popular. So there will be, you can order your groceries online and then you can have them picked up at curbside. So that is something, so we will have normal business hours that a grocery store would have.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions?
City Chair Culpepper?
Mr. Culpepper.
Yeah. Okay. Rebecca, remember when you did the Soul Plaza, you had to have some interaction with the neighbors and your residents in the back. Are you still planning on making sure you connect with them so they'll know what's going on in there?
That is a very good question, Commissioner Culpepper. In fact, I was remiss in bringing that up. We have been in very good conversation with the Riverbanks Homeowners Association, who has an interest in this property and is a party to the consent judgment. They have already given their full release to the New Soul Plaza and to SLT Holdings to release the property to have this specific project actually be placed on this piece of property. So they're 100% behind it. And we are ready upon your approval of this project and the city council's approval of this project to go forward and activate that. Now, they have been very clear that they will not release the property unless they will only release the property if this specific project is going on that piece of property. Other than that, they will not release it.
Okay, great. One other question. When we did the Soul, we don't do signage, we understand that, but the question came up that, it's hard to see from our telegraph. So again, although we don't do signage, just got to make sure you have proper signage so people will know what's there. That's just a comment.
Absolutely. So we will be definitely working on that. That is that comes into the conversation about the wayfinding signage.
Correct.
To have people understand that there is this wonderful destination just around the corner. You just have to kind of swing around that Northwestern Service Drive corner. So,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you. Beautiful project. Thank you, Chair. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any other questions?
To the chair, Commissioner
Yes.
Martin.
Mr. Martin. Commissioner Martin?
I believe there's a ravine behind the Copper Canyon. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, there is.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that included as part of the footprint? I believe some of the land might be included in it. Is that part of it?
Yeah, if I may, through the
Is it a
chair,
portion of that ravine?
if I may, through the chair, I just put up the site aerial. So the area in red is the property itself.
Yeah.
Just north of that is, if you want to call it a ravine, there's a detention basin. If you go a little bit farther to the north and to the east, there is a ravine that's part of the Rouge River. It's quite a distance from this particular site, so it is not included on this particular property.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you, commissioners. Any other questions?
Mr. Willis, I believe Mr. Griffiths has joined us if he wants to chime in.
Thank you. Mr. Griffith, I believe this is yours, so I turn the chair over to you.
Jeremy's still on mute. He has come off of mute.
How about now? No?
I'm on mute.
Ready to go, Jeremy.
Forward, goddamn.
This is Commissioner Rob Willis. We may not have him.
He's on. Go, Jeremy.
We could
I
see
see you. I see you. I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, now we
I can
can.
hear you now. Thank you.
It's not going to be worth it with all this buildup, I guarantee. My apologies. This is a whole new level of technical difficulty today.
I believe, Jeremy, I believe all the commissioners had asked a question. I think we are probably at the end of questioning.
Okay, I caught the first part. I'm excited that something's happening with that building. I missed the middle, so I'll wait and see what else, what happens next time. But yeah, good luck. Thank you.
Through the chair, I just have a couple of comments. Since we know we're evolving from this COVID and there's a lot of pickup deliveries, as Ms. Lazarus had stated, it would probably be good, Rebecca, if you could show where this pickup area may be, and maybe we could stripe it out so that we don't have any problems with parking and pickup. You can do that for the next time. And
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll do that. We'll indicate that on the drawing.
maybe talk a little bit about your art requirement.
We have not actually, we are still working on the art requirement on the New Seoul Plaza. We're trying to figure out what is appropriate for that location. We've got a pad that's ready to go. We want something that is deserving of that spot. So what we were thinking is possibly having something that is like a sister brother art piece that is sitting on the restaurant side and also on the market side. So we do have a nice space for it. We could put it in front of the building, or we have some place on where the sidewalk area is coming from Northwestern Highway. So we want something that makes logical sense and it represents the ethnic community as much as possible. So we are thinking of it. We haven't forgotten about it, but we definitely want something that is a striking piece of art.
Okay, well, you've got a little time, but I didn't want to let that go too long.
Right.
And just keep that in mind that as we move through this process, we'll have to have a more definitive answer on that.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
To the chair, just a quick question. Am I correct in assuming that that is the sidewalk along the front and the side of the building? Along the landscape area where it's looks like yellow from here.
No, the sidewalk from Northwestern Highway is in the southwest corner of the property, right at Northwestern Highway. There's like a little green area, and then
The gray striping.
yeah, and it kind of the sidewalk goes up and then goes right to the front door.
Mr. Spence, can you zoom in on that area?
No, I'm not able to zoom in, Terry.
All right, can you
through
use
this
your
platform.
pointer to point that out? And it's along Northwestern Highway.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, well, if the planning commission is comfortable, this will just come back at the end of the month for our public hearing.
Great job, Rebecca. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeremy is still on mute. We need to get Jeremy off of.
I'm sorry, I missed so much of the meeting. I have no idea where we're even at in the process.
We are on item 6.
Okay. You want me to step back up? Sorry.
Yeah, you could take over the chair for now, and I think we're going to have Mr. Bryce introduce this next case.
Okay. So next item's PSLU 21-003. Is that correct? Number 6.
Yeah, through the chair, that is correct. So you can all hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So again, my name is Kyle. I'm a planner. I'm staff here. It's good to talk to you all again. So we're taking these two cases together. We do have the special land use PSLU 21-0003 and the site plan review request PSP 21-0003. So we do have the petitioner, GDP Group, on behalf of the owner, RPT Realty. This is on property located at 28550 Telegraph Road. So this is the northwest corner of the site. This is the east side of Telegraph. It's in front of Michael's, Ulta, and PetSmart, if that helps get your bearings. We do the civil parcel posted there. The existing zoning is RS regional shopping. So that zoning does permit restaurants, but the petitioner is seeking a special land use to allow for a restaurant with a drive-through. So the site plan review request is to construct a 4,978 gross square foot Chick-Fil-A restaurant with a drive-through. This is a closer of the aerial as we have now. So again, this is just the parking lot from the Michaels. The future land use calls for regional mixed use, and it's within the Northwestern Highway Corridor sub-area, and the current zoning is RS, regional shopping. Here's a basic site plan and landscape rendering of the site. So it's nestled in the corner. It does have some associated parking. There's a dumpster enclosure on the northeast corner of the site. The restaurant's in the middle. There's some outdoor seating along the eastern edge of the patio. The site has a double drive-through, which Chick-Fil-A does have that at several of their locations. So right now, there's a drive-through order station on the right of the canopy there. And then there is a canopy on the western edge too. And they have different operating hours depending on, or different procedures based on how busy they are. They have peak and non-peak hours. I'll let the applicant get into that a little more of how often they plan to use this second drive-through lane. Next slide, please. So this is a more detailed site plan. We can do next slide. Here's a perspective of the restaurant itself. Next slide. These are some renderings showing, this is from Google Street View, what it would look like if you're driving by. Here's a rendering of looking into that access road, looking at the site, at the cars stacking at the restaurant. Here are some interior photos of the current Chick-fil-A model and an existing exterior photo of the different site. And here are the elevations. Here's an example of the order point canopy. So this is the first canopy on the east side. Here's the patio plan showing what they have there, the bike rack and the tables and chairs. We do have a floor plan of the site provided. And with that, I'd like to turn it over. We do have Ellen and we have Justin from Chick-Fil-A. They'd be happy to answer any questions. I'd also like to note we did request the sidewalk be put along Telegraph as part of our general plan to, if a property doesn't have a sidewalk on its frontage, we are asking them to put that in. So they were able to incorporate that into our plan. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ellen and to Justin.
Great, thanks, Kyle. My name's Ellen Selly. I'm with GPD Group, as Kyle mentioned, and we're super excited to present to you guys this new proposed Chick-Fil-A. Just some other key things that I wanted.
Excuse me, I'm having a hard time hearing her.
Oh, okay, I can speak up. Does that help at all?
That works, thank you.
Thanks. So yeah, we're just super excited to have this new Chick-fil-A, and I'll just point out a few more key things. I know Kyle did a really good job touching on all of it, but this site is within the existing shopping, as you said. Currently, it's all parking lot right now, so putting this site here will be a really big improvement to that corner. I know the close-up perspective view that was shown didn't show any of the landscaping. That was just a quick mock-up to see how the building was. But if we go back a few, that one, there. Can you go forward 2 more slides? Good. Oh, anyways, it's fine. So it was just that this one here, it looks pretty plain. I didn't want to scare anyone to think that that's what it's going to look like. We have a lot more landscaping, as you could see on that last slide that we were on with the colored 2D landscaping plan. It's going to look a lot better out there. Some more improvements. He talked about the sidewalk. We're going to have bike racks. It's an all brick building, and just overall, just a really nice look there. Very, very integrated with the rest of the shopping center, but still looking pretty great. Some other things to point out are the hours of operation. I know that was also questioned on the last one. So we've kind of asked for a larger range just to give the operator some flexibility to make sure that whenever they open the store that they can accommodate to the needed hours. So we're asking from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and we are closed on Sundays. But other Chick-fil-A's in the area are operating only from about 6:30 to 8:45 or 9:45 on Friday, Saturdays. So I don't know if it will be open as late, but we've asked for that larger window. And as far as the drive-through, I know that is a big thing that's on everyone's mind, and we've gone through a few different things with the city, and I'll have Justin probably talk some more about the operation standpoint, but just from a site plan standpoint, we do have the 2 canopies that were discussed. When you first drive in, it will be a canopy that is a little lower than the second one, and that one has heaters and fans to accommodate the employees that are out there to make sure that they are protected from the elements, whether it be the sun, the rain, the cold, the heat, all of it. We try to keep them happy as can be when they're standing out there. And then there's also a bypass lane for the fire truck. That's what that additional concrete area is. So the fire truck can circulate around that canopy. The rest of the drive-through is between 24 and 25 feet wide. And the canopy adjacent to the building where you'll pick up your food is actually higher. It has a 13.5-foot clearance for that fire truck to be able to circulate and clear underneath. And those heaters and fans have been moved over to the side to not interfere with the fire truck, to make sure that they can still do the same stuff that they do on their canopy. But as for that, I'll probably just pass it over to you, Justin, and you can talk about more of the operations and the drive-through, and kick it back to me if you need anything else.
Sure. Thanks for that, Ellen. First and foremost, as Ellen mentioned, just super excited. Been great working with staff for the last several months coming to this point. You know, this is not our first blush at this site plan. Based upon feedback, we've made quite a few improvements based on city code and wishes to try to meet everybody's desires here. And we're excited to bring this project to Southfield and the members of the community. So as Ellen mentioned, hours of operation, typically we see those running 6:30 a.m. to about 10 p.m. We've got 4 freestanding units open in the greater Detroit area. We've got one in Novi, Northville. We've got one in Shelby Township, and we've got one in Allen Park. Then we also have the mall in Somerset Mall. So, relatively new concept to the Detroit area. Certainly not new to, people across the country, but Michigan in general. We opened up our first location in 2015 there in Lansing, and then we moved across to the western side of the state in Grand Rapids, Holland, and Norton Shores. So we're certainly excited to bring more opportunities for our Ravine fans to the Detroit metro area, and Southfield is certainly a number one spot for us. So from the drive-through operation standpoint, we've had quite a few learnings from COVID, and what you see here is our latest and greatest design. And what I mean by that is, traditionally, if you were to go to Allen Park or Novi, there would be 2 drive-through lanes and there would be 2 order points. Then that drive-through lane would narrow down to 1 lane to where it wrapped around the building and you pick up your food in 1 lane. So the learning from COVID is adding that a second lane that you see here all the way around the building, and that gives our franchisee owner operator maximum flexibility to execute the drive-through as they see fit based on the demand at the time of the store. So our typical busy hours are around the lunchtime and around the dinner time, as you can imagine. So call it 11 to 1 and maybe 5 to 7, 7:30. Those are
your volume's breaking up. Your speech is breaking up. We can't hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. Let me try to get a little closer to the speaker. Is that better?
Yes, I can hear you well.
Okay. So what I was saying is that second drive-through lane we added as a learning from COVID. After all dining rooms were closed, we wanted to give our franchisee owner operators maximum flexibility to utilize the drive-through and kind of flex as the demand for our product flex based on the time of the day. So that's why you see the dual lane all the way around. And as Ellen mentioned, working with Mike and the fire department to make sure that they've got clear access around the building. So that additional 20-foot stripe lane on the east side of our building would accommodate that so they could get around our first canopy. And then we raised the second canopy at the pickup window so the fire trucks could go underneath that and make sure we had clear space all the way around the building. One thing unique about Chick-Fil-A versus other franchise concepts is once you become a franchisee owner operator for Chick-fil-A, you get 1 location. And that's really our secret sauce. And what that does is it allows our franchisee owner operators, if you're selected to be one, that is your sole source of income. You cannot have another form of income. So what that does is it brings our owner operators, our franchisees, into the building and into the store 6 days a week. As Alan mentioned, we're closed on Sundays. We believe that the team should have a little break and a little rest and do as they please on Sundays. But that owner operator model being in the store 6 days a week, that's really our secret sauce. And that's meant to be honestly like a life coach to all of our team members. They take on that role more than they do owner operator. But they're building the team members, getting the team members bought into the success of the store. And we've been blessed with certainly success in our business. So we're excited to bring this opportunity to the community, and we're here to answer any questions that you all may have.
One of the first things I hoped you would have addressed is how does the entrance to the site work? You got 2 drive-through lanes. I'm assuming that fits a lot of cars already, but I'm assuming the cars are going to further stack back out into the site. Where do you enter the development? Where do you exit? Is it all at that? There's a light there just north of the building.
Sure. So good question, Jeremy. If you follow that cursor, yeah, our anticipation is that most cars would enter north of the building. They would take the existing access drive, head toward Michael's. I don't know if we have a zoomed out view that we could see, or even an aerial, as we're flipping through. But essentially, you would go east toward the Michaels. This one might be a little bit better, but you would use that existing drive aisle.
Maybe this one.
Yeah, use that existing drive aisle, follow the cursor, go towards Michaels, and then you would make that turn. And before actually go back up, I think what we would anticipate is you would turn into the first drive aisle, one more bay north, turn in there, and then what you'll see on our site plan is we have another drive aisle just outside of our drive-through that you would head south on, immediately south of the dumpster pad, and then make that turn to enter into our drive-through. So the reason we designed it that way, Jeremy, is to keep all of the traffic away from the front doors from the big box retailers that you see to the east of us. So while our drive-through could accommodate 32 cars right now, before it spills out of our drive-through, by adding that additional lane east of our site, we're visualizing that so you can see the lane between the drive-through and the landscaping islands that we would install into the parking lot. So any overflow traffic, if there were some during peak hours, would follow that path that you're seeing on the cursor right now. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. That's not instinctively how I would have driven on that site, though. So that's why I was trying to figure it out.
So being local, how would you access the site? Because obviously,
that's how I'd access the site. I think I'd drive down to this third main aisle in front of a bunch of people walking their dogs into PetSmart, wait for them. After a couple times, I'd probably do what you're saying. But I think to at least get to the front doors of those buildings on this presentation would have answered a lot of those questions.
Yeah,
I've got on my screen here the GIS photo of Southfield, so I already zoomed out, but
okay,
you can see what I'm looking at.
So typically, what we do, Jeremy, like during grand opening weekends or even a week or two after opening, we would have like a traffic consultant to try to educate the consumers on what the appropriate flow of traffic would be for our drive-through. One, that's to make sure we've got safe, customers, keeping their safety in mind, that the traffic is flowing and not interrupting other retailers, and then just keeping that drive-through queue moving if it were to spill off of our site.
This is Geraldine. Is it time for us to ask questions yet?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. I have a couple concerns regarding the traffic flow. First of all, let me congratulate you for even considering Southfield for a Chick-Fil-A destination. It's a wonderful idea. However, where you're proposing to locate it, I'm extremely concerned because it's coming off M10, and when people are driving down that curve trying to get on Telegraph, it is a mess. It is a very dangerous. It's a very dangerous intersection or road. If it is anything like what happened at 12 Oaks, they come off that expressway. At least there's a light there. There's no light when you're exiting M10 going north on Telegraph. There's no light there. People are coming around that curve. They're coming around that curve fast. When you first open up, or when the traffic is going to be backed up, I foresee a real mess. I am concerned that I hope that the city or whomever you work with regarding the traffic flow, because that is my biggest concern. And I can relate that to the Popeyes restaurant, which is on the west side of Telegraph Road at 12 Mile. When they had that little chicken special, the traffic was backed up all the way to 13 Mile Road. And you didn't know what was going on. You inch up, and you find out there's people in the line to get a chicken sandwich at the Popeyes. Okay, so that is my biggest concern, the traffic flow.
And Justin, I can field that one. So we have been working with MDOT. They're the ones that said where that sidewalk should go. So they've seen our preliminary plans and haven't had any comments on them, and we are in the process of getting our formal application to them. So they'll provide any additional comments on turning off of the main road there and making sure that safety is the #1 priority for everyone traveling that way.
This is Commissioner Rob Willis. A couple of questions, if I may. I'm concerned about traffic on the parking lot, and it seems that some of that can be just addressed with signage. Turn right for Chick-Fil-A, and even lines that would say this is the way to go, as compared to some of the other big box stores. It just seems to be kind of straightforward to me. So I'm hoping that's, I'm hoping I'm on the right track with that. I'm also concerned with the picture showing the parking lot nearly vacant. And I recognize it's not overly used, but I really wonder what parking would look like at what you would call peak hours, the 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock and the 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. Do you still have the same parking pattern on the parking lot as you're showing in one of the illustrations?
So I think I could feel that. So pre-COVID, I'm getting a lot of feedback from somebody here. But pre-COVID, what we're used to seeing is about 55% of our traffic going through the drive-through, and about 45% of those choosing to park and come in the store. So
Okay.
I don't know if any of us could predict what's going to happen post-COVID. Maybe some of the customer habits will change, and maybe they'll stay with drive-through. But we also have mobile ordering service as well, to where you can order on your mobile phone, and then you can park in one of our sites, and then we could bring park in one of our parking spots, and then one of our team members would bring the food out here.
And I think my concern was this will not overstress the remaining parking. Again, it did not look like it was overused, just that the time of day, I can't determine if that's 6 o'clock in the morning when no one would park, or is that 6 o'clock in the evening when Chick-fil-A would have its busiest time. Does that stress the rest of the parking on that lot?
Yeah, so we've been working with the landlord on this as well, RPT. And they have reviewed our site plans as well, just from an overall parking standpoint. And to date, I'm not aware of any concerns with a lack of parking from a Chick-fil-A standpoint, coupled with the rest of the retailers that are in the center.
Okay, thank you.
To the chair, Commissioner Culpepper.
Commissioner Mark.
To the
Go
chair.
ahead, Commissioner Culpepper first, and then
Okay,
Commissioner Martin.
Kyle, would you bring up the photo with them going through the drive-through? While you're doing it, just we know
Jeff
that.
in control. Well, I think you're. Yeah,
Right there. Yes, that one. Justin, again, sentiments as Dr. Stevens said, we know that Chick-fil-A is a major brand. The one in Novi stays packed. Now, my main issue is looking at the drawing that Kyle sent us. You got 2 lanes, and as you see cars here, that's the way that cars will be coming through Chick-fil-A to order. My question to you, Justin, is where is your escape lane? We have looked at every drive-through to come through here. They must have an escape lane. You got to have an escape lane for emergencies, or somebody want to get out of line, because waiting in a Chick-fil-A line is a long time. So with you having 2 lanes, which I understand to get stuff through, I need to see, or would like to see, where in the plan that you have an escape lane, because that's an essential.
Okay.
Where's the escape lane?
We don't have an escape lane shown on the plans. I don't know if we've seen what section in the code that was as far as requirement of an escape lane, but as described, having both lanes gives that operator maximum flexibility to either utilize both lanes during busy times, or not during busy times, or utilizing one lane from the order point to the pickup point. So that second lane would act as an escape lane in that scenario, Mr. Culpepper.
But my statement to you again, and we can go back, and those that have been on the committee, every drive-through to come through, and we just did one on Telegraph with Kirby. there must be an escape lane. You have people in the lines that's there for hours or whatever, or an emergency that someone has to get out of line, get irritable or whatever. They must have a way to get out of that line. So I am recommending very strongly that you look at having an escape lane, because if we go back, you're saying what's in the code. Terry and Jeff can speak more about what's in the code, but I know from this commission, we don't want someone to be stuck in that line, get irritable or upset, or have an emergency come up and they not be able to exit that line. And for every drive-through that we've had, we have emphasized there must be some way to escape that lane for whatever reason, mainly an emergency. So if I'm out of line, if off base, Terry or Jeff help me with that, but I think every drive-through we've had, we've definitely employed them to have an escape lane. It's essential to me.
Yeah, I'll comment after all the commissioners have made their.
Okay, thank you, Chair. We need to look at that very closely, because again, that falls in line with, to me, it's what Commissioner Dr. Dunn was saying. Traffic, we backed up. You got people waiting, trying to get out or get irritable. We don't want any tension or any stuff to come up and people get frustrated and not be able to exit and move the traffic without having it in the harm's way. Because if that comes back, it'll come back on this commission that we approve this without having any availability to be concerned about the safety. That's me. Thank you, Chair.
We're certainly concerned about safety as well, and our owner operators are trained to get cars out of the drive-through lane in case of emergency to make sure those lanes are clear.
Well, hold on. You brought up notes. Okay, okay. I don't want to belittle the fact. I'm just saying, in your site plan, in my view, you gotta have a escape plan. For you to say that you got a plan to get them out of line, to me, that's not sufficient. That has to be something on that drawing of print that we required every drive-through to have a way to exit that line for whatever reason, okay, on their own, because that to me is safety. And God forsake that anything happens in a line that a person can't get out and something comes up. And that's been something that we've been consistent about. So I think we need to stay consistent on our drive-throughs and having escape lanes. And we can go back and look at the history of all of them, and we'll see that. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, through the chair, Commissioner Huntington.
Hang on one second. Commissioner Martin, you were next. If you're ready. All right, I don't hear him. Go ahead, Commissioner Huntington. We'll circle back.
I think he had a chat to see if he might be having issues with the audio based on what I see in the chat.
Okay, what is your approximate turnover time for each customer on average at the drive-through window?
So from the time of placing an order, is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
From the time of placing an order? Yeah. So typically our average times are about 90 seconds from the time of placing an order to pick up your food and exit the site.
Okay, and when there's a problem with someone's food or order, is there a dedicated area for them to pull to the side, or do they just sit there and wait, or what happens if there's an issue with the order?
Yeah, so that's the reason for this double drive-through lane as well. So let's say car one at the window has an issue, and oh my gosh, I meant to add another chicken sandwich and make it a hamburger instead of a chicken sandwich, right? It's going to take a long time to do that because we don't do that. But say there's an issue with car number one. The reason for that canopy and the reason for the striping between lane one and lane two is that our associates will be able to deliver food to not only the car at the pickup window, but one car before the pickup window, two cars before the pickup window, or they could deliver food to cars in lane two at the pickup window. And once those cars have their food, they can drive around the car that's at the pickup window if that's the one that's an issue. Otherwise, we would have them pull forward to a parking space in the parking lot and resolve the issue at that time. Because the last thing we want to do is have a bottleneck to the drive-through that takes up 55% of the business.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I like, I really like the layout and, the canopies. I think is a great idea. The outdoor seating, the later hours. But my concern is like the other commissioners, and I think Commissioner Culpepper made a valid point as far as a, escape lane. I'm not sure how you would do it, but that would be great to have. Okay, thank you.
My pleasure.
Thanks. Commissioner Martin, can we hear you now? No.
I asked him to try to call in on a separate line because it must be something with his computer.
Any other commissioners? Yeah, I'll piggyback on the escape lane. You already gave us 2 giant drive-through lanes, which is more than anyone else does. But I could see, I see what you got to do. You got to push the site another 40 or 60 feet in probably 2 directions, which gives a lot more cars a chance to spread out around, just a lot more breathing room for everybody. I think that's a great thing for the site plan and flow. I don't know what that does for your financials on the land lease and everything. I'm sure not great, but that is a very, with all the other drive-throughs, which are much less popular, much less either faster or less cars in general. The single drive-through lane with the 1 escape lane has been a good model to have. So I know that has been very consistent. This is a little different shape, site, a different animal, different draw. Definitely would be happy to have one in the area here. Like all of us are saying, it's where you want to be. You're on the main road that people can get to you and go on to everywhere else around the city in the area too. So it's just, there is a lot of site around here. There's a lot of room to snake around. More room and more space for more cars would be a better thing. I think everyone's really familiar with just traffic backing out into all different areas around. I'm picturing their front door of all these adjacent retailers being blocked by traffic, and that's not even on this drawing. So I'll come, back to that. Just, I think this view is great, but you really need to zoom out a little bit more to think about this a little better. Any other commissioners comments on this?
To the chair?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
There's Commissioner Martin. There you go.
I missed part of the conversation, but I assume that you talked about the traffic flow in front of Michael's and the pet store and the traffic that comes from Telegraph down the road to the north of the building.
Yes,
yeah. And we're asking them before our next meeting, Ellen, if you could show a wider view out and how you think this traffic flow, I think that Justin had indicated, in worst case scenario, we'd like to see how that's going to flow through.
Absolutely, we'll provide that.
And the lanes going from the storefronts up the side of the building, what would be the south side of the building? The 2-way traffic there also?
I think
We'll make sure to include this zoomed out so you can see the Michaels and you can see the access drive that's north of our site and then all of our site as well.
Okay, thank you. I do say it's a great idea to have a Chick-Fil-A in Southfield, and I hope we don't have any problems working out any of the concerns that are raised.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Willis. I'm curious, assuming a favorable approval from council, how long do you think before we'll be serving chickens there?
Certainly need to follow the process here, and I do know that some of the other big box retailers have certain construction periods on when we can or cannot do construction. So, best estimate at this time would probably be, a year from now after we get through, take the time to get through the rest of the process and then start construction potentially, hopefully in a year from now.
Okay, thank you.
How many employees do you normally have in the store?
Yeah, typically we have anywhere from 75 to 100 employees. A mix between part-time and full-time employees. So, quite a large staff for sure.
I would expect you to try and get as much staff as possible from the Southfield area.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Any other commission comments? Staff, do you have? I know you have some suggestions.
Yeah, I'd like to weigh in. This is Planner Crode. First of all, Justin, as far as the ordinance, since this is a special land use, there are general requirements about traffic and circulation. That's why we can ask these questions. And there also is in the ordinance for stacking spaces, you cannot block any 90-degree parking spaces. So you would not be able to extend up that aisle where you show your dumpsters and count that as part of your stacking space, because they'd be blocking spaces that are designated for parking. And again, I think everybody is excited about Chick-Fil-A being here. We're happy. We just want it to work. And I know it's redundant to say you guys want it to work and it be safe, but we're the ones that are going to get the phone calls when it doesn't work. And it's a product of your success that you have so many cars going through. And I said anecdotally, I live halfway between the Northville and Novi stores, and every weekend I see the cars backed out onto adjacent properties. I said last Saturday, I stopped counting at 40 cars. In Northville, off peak, this was like 2:45 p.m. on a Friday. I waited over 40 minutes and I had to go on Kohl's parking lot and do a double loop just before I got on Chick-Fil-A, get all the way into the ordering station, and then they didn't have the one chicken sandwich that I wanted. And now I'm stuck there and I just spent 40 minutes in line. So these might be anecdotal, but we know how successful your other stores have been. And you compound that with this shopping center that appears to have plenty of room, probably short of the major holidays. I had indicated to Ellen that massaging this building to the east into that extra lane. I talked to the fire marshal, and instead of having a separate escape lane, if we could have the outer lane closer to 20 feet, you already have 11 feet, I think, dedicated towards that second lane. So that's 9 additional feet we have to find. 9 additional feet on the north side and 9 additional feet on the west side. We know if you shifted the building to the east, you can pick up that 9 feet. So I think there is room for negotiation here and getting close to having that escape lane, so that if there is an emergency, whether it's access to your building or an emergency within your drive-through, because more often than not, you're going to have them double stacked, bumper to bumper going through there. And we all know that. And then 32 spaces is great, but I can see in peak times it extending out, and that's where this overall plan might be helpful if you can show where that additional stacking may be. Again, worst case scenario, few times a day or a few times a year. We just want to be able to accommodate that. Everything else, I think, is quality. We've met or exceeded our requirements. The biggest issue is the drive-through and the stacking. And I think, and I believe that we can come to some compromise that can be a win-win for both. But these are concerns of ours. They're legitimate concerns. We do have a couple McDonald's that have a double drive-through, but they also have an escape lane. So, and as Mr. Culpepper and some of the other commissioners, at least for fast food drive-throughs, we've always had enough room where we've had an escape lane. So we just ask you to go back to the drawing board and see what you can come up with before our public hearing. That's all I have for now, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So as far as their next meeting, you want to handle that off air? during the week?
Yeah, I think we can, if you're comfortable, we can do this administratively. We have 2 or 3 weeks before the public hearing. And then if at one of your follow-up meetings, if we feel like we need to come back on the 17th prior to the public hearing, then we'll schedule that.
That works for me, unless the commission has any opposition.
Wait, I just saw it's St. Patrick's Day, so that all bets are off.
Oh yeah.
No, we'll work with them. Staff will work with them, and we'll keep you informed.
Okay, thank you. Nice, exciting project.
Thank you.
Do you guys, Ellen or Justin, do you have any questions about us at this point? Otherwise, you can follow up with Kyle, Jeff, or myself. We can have another in-house meeting before the next time.
We'll need to do another in-house meeting as Jeremy stated, shifting the building and, getting more lease space might be problematic. So we'll have to get our heads together to try to get everybody on a win-win scenario. I thought we were there, but apparently it doesn't sound like we are. So we'll have to do another staff session.
Okay.
Could we have Mike from the fire department on there too?
If he's available, yes.
Yeah.
He was out on medical leave recently, so.
Shoot. Sorry to hear that.
Okay, we'll do our best to get him or another representative from the fire department on.
All right, thank you. Moving on, we have the PZTA 21-002.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this particular text amendment is actually to correct a clerical error that occurred with regard to the medical marijuana facilities and our overlay development districts and how that's defined. So if I may go to the next slide. So within our ODD, we do allow for medical marijuana facilities. And the slide that I have here was the intent of the amendment was to show that within the Northland Overlay Development District, medical marijuana facilities would be permitted in the Central Park District, the Shopping District, the Lifestyle District, Innovation District, Open Space District, however, not within the Boundary District. So that was the intent of the ordinance. When the ordinance was actually published, what had happened was, and you can see over here on the left-hand side, medical marijuana facilities were basically shown, while ODD corridors that showed it X'd out or not allowed, it showed permitted in other overlay development districts within the city. Again, totally different from the previous because these other overlay development districts weren't Northland Mall. And this particular amendment had to do with medical marijuana facilities in the Northland Overlay Development District. And just to kind of show you that was the intent, if you take a look again at the published text amendment, at the very bottom, highlighted in yellow, it says medical marijuana facilities, and these are prohibited uses within ODDs. Medical marijuana facilities were prohibited except in the Northland ODD. That was also in the published text. If you look on the right-hand side, this is what we have online and printed, and this is the corrected version, that what you see on the left-hand side is the way it should have looked. On the left-hand side should have looked like what it shows on the right-hand side. That medical marijuana facilities were not permitted within Southfield Tech Corridor, not permitted within the city center, not permitted within the smart zone or overlay development corridors, but within that downtown development district, that being the Northland sub-area redevelopment area. So again, it was a bit of a clerical error. Again, the intent was to allow medical marijuana facilities in the Northland ODD only. However, when it got published in error. So again, what is shown on the right-hand side is how it should be. The left-hand side was incorrect. So basically, this text amendment is just to fix that error and bring us back into conformance with what was the intent of the ordinance at the time. Hopefully I explained that okay.
Yeah, again, this Planet Crow, as far as the public was concerned, it was always shown online and in the printed version, the correct version. But the actual ordinance that was adopted and submitted for publication for the notice, that's where the clerical error took place. And it was only just recently discovered when I was preparing for a court appearance on a separate issue that I discovered that there was a clerical error. So we referred this to the city attorney, and she had indicated that we need to go through the process, amend it, and note that it was a clerical error and what the intent was.
Just to clarify, you said that this was never really visible to the public. There's not.
Other than the one day that it was published in the paper saying it was adopted.
Okay.
That version that got approved had the clerical error in it. As far as when we updated the ordinance online and in the paper copy, it was always in the correct format. So, Mr. Willis, you might want to take over. Oh, I don't know if Mr. Griffiths is back now.
Sorry, I'm back. Minor detail. Okay, that makes sense to me. Any other questions from the commission?
No, it makes perfect sense. At least clear that up, and so somebody look at it, they see what's actually there. Because we know how people are. People see stuff, and then they bring up stuff that's old and antiquated. So good job, Jeff, amending that. I think it's good. Thank you.
And this is Commissioner Willis. I'm in accord with that. Although I'm not sure if all of this was necessary. I think it could have been administratively corrected. But if the city attorney looks at it this way, I'm happy with this level of approval.
Yeah, believe me, Mr. Willis, we wish we could have done it administratively ourselves, but there was a misinterpretation when this thing was printed up from our office and was submitted to the clerk's office wrong. We take responsibility for it. It was the right hand and left hand not knowing what was going on, and it was really clear to me when I had the final version updated what the right version was. So at least we had it on the online version in our printed copies correct. It just was this one piece that was quote unquote published at time of adoption was incorrect.
Understood. I'm good.
All right, thank you. So I know the agenda was amended, and I was not here to hear. So do we do the public comment section now, or do we jump over back to?
I think it would be appropriate, Mr. Chair, to go to Bell's Event Studio, and I know you have a brief comment you want to make before you sign off.
Yes, we were involved professionally designing this project, so I will need to recuse myself. I will ask Commissioner Willis to step back in my absence, and I will leave the meeting now. Thank you all.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. I'm here. I think I'm getting used to it. Then we're looking at PZR 21-0001.
Yeah, if I may through the chair, again, we'll present the rezoning, the special land use, and the site plan all as one packet. So this is the rezoning request, PZR 21-0001, special land use, PSLU 21-0002, and the site plan review request, PSP 21-0001. The petitioner is Bell's Event Studio. The property is located 224 West 10 Mile Road. So this is on the northeast corner of West 10 Mile Road and Groden Drive. Property currently zoned ERO Education Research Office. The proposal from a rezoning standpoint is to rezone the 1 acres of land from ERO, Education Research Office, to B2 Planned Business. Special use portion is to allow an event center as a place of assembly on the property. And the site plan ultimately is to convert the existing bank building to an event center for banquets and other similar uses. This is a closer look of the property itself. This is a vacant bank building. So you can see that little bump out here on the north-hand side is the existing drive-through lane. That is to remain as is for the time being. You can also see that the property does extend a little bit farther north, include the driveway that comes in off of Groden Drive, and that driveway would be able to allow people access to the shopping center that's directly to the north, or some of the other commercial uses directly to the east. From a zoning standpoint, future land use, technology corridor sub-area. And again, as noted, the property is currently zoned ERO Education and Research Office, and the proposal is to go to B2. As you can see, we do have B2 for the shopping center directly to the north, and then the commercial uses directly to the east. So this makes perfect sense to go to a B2 planned business zoning for this particular property and for this particular use, again, that does allow for an assembly type use as a special land use. Copy of the proposal for the site plan. Again, it does show utilizing the existing bank building with very minimal change to the building itself. We do have the pedestrian connections from Groden Drive, as well as the other various requirements of the zoning ordinance, including some significant landscaping along the frontage, both on 10 Mile and on Groden Drive to screen front portions of the vehicles. Also, bike rack is also shown on the site. They do meet the requirements for parking, although you can see that there will be, if there isn't one already on site, cross-access agreement will be needed between this property owner and then the owner of the shopping center property directly to the north and then directly to the east. Again, noting that there's that main driveway that comes in off of Groden that crosses across the north portion of this property in itself. This is a view of the floor plan for the interior of the site. And then what the existing building looks like. And again, as I had noted, some minimal changes to the outside of the building. And with that, I do know that the petitioner is currently on, Corey and Tiffany Bell. So if you have any additional comments, anything additional to note to the planning commissioners, we could invite you to do that at this time.
Thank you.
Yep.
My name's Tiffany Bell and my husband is Corey, and we're the owners of Bell Event Studios. And we've been lifelong residents of the city of Southfield. I grew up in Southfield, graduated from Southfield High. My children also go to Southfield Public Schools. So we're very dedicated to the city of Southfield. And for that matter, we decided that Southfield was the only city that we wanted to consider in placing our business. So we spent about a year looking for the right site for the business because we wanted a standalone building. There's not a lot of standalone buildings that are available that we felt would fit our needs. But when we saw that this particular site was available, we felt that it would be best for us. It was in a great location and it had all the amenities that would be good for our business. And so for that matter, we decided on this particular location. And again, we are residents of Southfield. I've grown up here all my life, and I've always wanted to own a business in the city. And just with the changing circumstances, in my life, for example, I used to work for Art Van Furniture, and I worked there for almost 17 years. But obviously, most of you probably already know what has happened with that company. And so we decided to shift and decided that, being entrepreneurs would be a great way for us to move forward. And so we decided on this business. I've had a photography business since 2008. I do photography on locations, and I had a lot of my clients would ask for locations to have their particular event, whether it was a graduation party, a wedding reception, and so forth. And they were having struggles finding a space that would fit their needs. And from there, we talked about it and felt like this would be a great business, to go into. And we looked at other surrounding businesses to see, where we felt we could fit in. And so we decided to start this business and locate it in the city of Southfield. So I appreciate you taking the time to look at our business. We're very excited about it, and we think it would be a great asset to the city.
Thank you. If your architect or anybody else has any comments, otherwise we'll go back to the chair.
Yeah, we have Jason, our architect, as well as Emery Matthews, our consultant for real estate consultant.
Mr. Matthews, or is it Folkcham?
Foxman.
Foxman?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, do you guys have any comments?
I don't have anything to add to what you presented, other than if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Mr. Matthews?
No, I couldn't say it any better than the petitioners already have, so thank you for the time.
Okay, Mr. Willis. Turn it back to the commission for questions.
Thank you. Just trying to unmute. Then, commissioners, do you have any questions?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Huntington through the chair.
Yes, sir.
It's really, this bank has been vacant for a long time, man. And it's really good to see somebody stepping up and trying to do something with this bank. And I think that's going to change that whole little strip there. The B2 makes sense, with the shopping area B2. I think it fits right in. Traffic, a little concerned about making a left turn coming out of the parking lot there. There's always kind of a struggle. But overall, I think the flow should be good around the building. There should be plenty of parking and overflow parking. Hopefully the cross-access agreement will work out okay. But I think it's a good location for what they're trying to do. I would like to know a little bit more about the event that's going to take place there and the times, operating hours, and days for events.
Yes.
And I'll just listen for a second.
Yes, so the space will be open 7 days a week. Monday through Thursday will be open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays will be open from 8 a.m. to 12 a.m. And then on Sundays will be open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. So if you're having an event in the space, like I said, on the weekends, we close at 12 a.m. So that includes setup, takedown. You will be leaving the building at that time.
Okay, and what type of events you will mostly have there?
We're looking at events, small events, typically 99 people or less. And we're looking at events that are for bridal showers. It's a more upscale, intimate facility. So we're looking for more bridal showers, wedding receptions, small weddings, birthday celebrations, things of that nature. And then it can also be used for business meetings during the week and on the weekend as well.
Okay. And I suppose your photography would be involved also in there.
Yes, as well. Yes. Currently I do photography on location, but it would be nice to have a space when people want to do something that's indoors.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a great idea, and I'm looking forward. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
This is to the chair. This is Geraldine Stevens-Gunn.
Go ahead, Ms. Gunn.
I have a question regarding the services that will be rendered at the facility. So are you going to have a kitchen, or are you going to be serving catering and those kinds of things as a part of this venture?
Yeah, so we do have a prep kitchen that'll be used just for preparing and preparing the food to come out. And then for caterers that they would like to use, they do need to be licensed caterers. That is in our contract. That's part of the facility.
Any further questions?
Commissioner Culpepper?
Mr. Culpepper?
Good. Corey and Tiffany, let me say thank you as being loyal residents of the city and wanting to maintain the business in the city. I personally think this goes well, as Commissioner Huntington said. That area needs some revitalization, and having a venue like you are proposing in that area, I think is great. Gives you exposure. It opens up a lot of things for you, and I'm quite sure that you guys do a good job. Good design on the building, and like I said, it fits that area. So I'm in accord with it, and I wish you a lot of luck going forward, both of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Commissioner Gerald Gunn again to the chair.
Go ahead.
What is your timeline for implementation and turning this project around?
Well, we're looking to turn it around fairly quickly. We're hoping to open up in the summertime because there's really not a lot that needs to be done to the inside of the property. And that's one reason why we did choose this property, because it was actually already a really great fit for us. Of course, there's landscaping and different things on the outside that needs to be done, but we're hoping that this summer we'll be able to open.
Thank you. Commissioners, any further questions? So this is
Mr. Martin here.
Yes, Commissioner Martin.
It looks like you have 3 separate spaces that you could break down the location into. What type of, are these temporary walls that you have here, the dotted lines and that, and the X-out area, or those separate rooms currently?
No, there's 2 rooms to the right on the east. Those are fixed rooms walls, and then you see where the circular tables are, that is an open space. And the perforated squares are just more of a walkable lane that we felt that just kind of a spacing for traffic in the unit.
I see. So you're looking at different pattern flows with the tables and then the walkways without them. I understand then.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think this is a good idea and a good venue and a good location for that matter too. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
This is Commissioner Willis. I too like the idea. I have one concern though. There looks to be parking in back of the area that was used for external banking, and it looks to be a few feet from the building and then down a grade a couple of feet. My concern would be, will it be lit in the evening when your patrons use your building? Will they have security between that parking location and the front entrance?
Yes, so there's lighting in the existing parking lot on the north side within the adjacent shopping center, but also there's some lighting that is on the entryway of that drive or easement coming from the west. So there's lighting that's in existence as we speak right now.
Okay, and I'm going to assume there'll be no concern with patrons going from that back parking lot to the front.
No, we haven't inquired or heard of any concerns or been approached about any concerns within that.
Okay, I think, and lastly, will this be a cabaret of any style? Do you anticipate serving alcohol of any style at all?
There will be no cabaret. There's no BYOB in this location. They will, however, be allowed to have alcohol on the premises. However, they would have to use one of our preferred vending services, our bartending services that are licensed, bonded, and insured with the state of Michigan in order to have alcohol on the premises.
Thank you. Commissioners, are there any other questions?
Sounds good. Great proposal. Yes, I wish you a lot of luck and success. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Planner Crow through the chair. I am familiar with this area when I travel to and from work. There was, with all road construction, you always find a different route. But I do know that this area backs up at rush hour, all the way across there with people trying to turn left out of that shopping center and vice versa. So I think it would be helpful if we could get an aerial view that expands out. I can't recall if there was a street light at Roden or it's the next one down. And you probably, this is part of the Road Commission of Oakland County's jurisdiction, 10 Mile. Just need to see if there's any issues with they may have for a left-hand turn out, trying to go across traffic.
Okay.
Or the preferred way is to come off this Roden Drive. So that's the only. I'm happy to see this building being renovated. I think it's great to have Southfield residents reinvesting in here. I don't have any other particular concerns other than, as proprietors, you probably should be aware of what the traffic patterns are and where your issues may be. It might be simply the time of day that you're offering this is after peak hours. But just something for you guys to investigate. Other than that, I'm happy that this thing is moving forward.
Thank you.
Again, are there any further questions, Commissioners? And with that, I think we can say thank you. I'm glad you were able to present to us, and I am excited by this project. And I think that would bring it to a close. And so at this point, we would look for public comment.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, we can release Corey, Tiffany, and their team unless you want. You're welcome to stay on, but we'll see you in a couple of weeks at the public hearing. Have a good night.
We can. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. So this is the public comment portion of your meeting. To the public who is currently listening or watching, you do have a limit of 3 minutes to address the commission. We do ask that if you do call in, that you give your name and your address for the record, and then you can then use your 3 minutes to communicate to the commission itself. The telephone number to call in on is 1-415-655-0001. And when prompted, the event number is 129-867-7328. And both of those numbers are shown in the last sentence of this particular slide. So again, if we do have any public who would like to speak at this time, feel free to call in right now at that telephone number and that event number that's noted on the screen. Mr. Chairman, as you're aware, there's a little bit of a delay between this live version and then what's on cable. So if we could wait a minute or so, we'll see if we have any public who would like to speak. And I'll be back with you shortly.
I'm comfortable with that, but should we turn the meeting back over to our chair? Mr. Griffin's on the line.
I believe that the chairman has left the meeting, so you will be the chair through the remainder.
While we're waiting, Jeff, do we have activities for next week?
For next Wednesday's meeting, you do have the CIP is coming back to you for review. And again, you've seen the CIP last month. This is a review, a new draft of the CIP, which you'll have review next week. We also have one more item that we want to bring forward for a commercial use on 12 Mile Road, just east of Greenfield on the north side. So we have those two items. We are going to bring back the item that you just saw. And the reason for that is because we did have some notices that went out a little bit later than some other ones. We still met the requirements, the 15-day requirement. However, because those address labels for those notices came in so late on Friday, we were not able to get them out in time for those particular residents for this meeting. So those notices did go out today. So again, we will be bringing the Bells Event Center back again next week, only because we want to give those residents who will be receiving those notices in a couple of days an opportunity to speak should they have any concerns or comments. So again, it's the CIP review, the commercial use over on 12 Mile Road in Greenfield, and then Bell's Event Center again. And I don't see where we have any public who is asked to talk during this time. And again, if there is someone on the line, if you'd like to speak, now is your opportunity. And again, sir, not seeing or hearing anyone. Doesn't appear we have public for public comment at this time.
Thank you, Jeff. Then public comment portion will be closed. And section 10, minutes. Do we have minutes for February 3, 10, 17, and 24?
Yeah, so those minutes will be sent to you before your regular meeting, but you will have 4 sets of minutes for the regular meeting at the end of the month. And I'll make sure that I get those to you promptly.
Any miscellaneous items?
I just have a couple announcements if I could. Again, with the CIP plan, Ms. Mullally asked me to remind the commissioners that we don't have any ability to change budgetary items because that's already been set. And please focus any of your questions based on what's in our wheelhouse as far as what the Planning Enabling Act gives us authority to do. Hopefully, you guys are weekly filling out the public input on the master plan. We are in week 5, age-friendly communities and expanding housing options. And then finally, I was happy to be notified that we got selected to speak at the National Planning Conference in May on the Southfield City Center Trail. So that'll give us an opportunity to share all the good things that are happening in Southfield at the national level.
I thank you. Any other items for miscellaneous? Then I declare this meeting over.